Hey, yo, it's Dominic D'Angelo, and it is a Wednesday. So, you know what that means. It's time to do a little rumor and innuendo. Did I just say rumor and innuendo? But either way, I'm by myself today, and Robert is out on assignment, and it's an important assignment, too. But you're stuck with me, and we're going to talk a little bit of AEW Dynamite. I'm going to check the dirt sheets, too, and check them wrestling news. When I fly solo, I usually fly by the seat of my pants. So get ready for a wild ride here on the outside. Why am I rhyming everything today? Uh, it's nice out in Pittsburgh. Maybe that's why the spirits are up here. It's like 42 degrees, which is really warm right now. Let's say hi to some folks in the chat, Joe. Jeff Hengener says, hello, R&I. Maybe Dom keeps messing up the intro because he's too excited. Maybe that's it. Am I always excited, though? I don't know. Like, after Raw, I wasn't that excited. Alt Jake says, I'm so scared. Uh-oh. Why is he scared? What's wrong, Jake? Wrestling Old Ed says, R&I can see clearly now Joe's reign is gone? Question mark? Interesting. We also have Alt Jake says, oh, damn it. That joke was solely for Robert. Dom may or may not get it. I don't get it. Are you referring to Samoa Joe as his reign? I don't know. Jake also adds, never know with our Dom. You don't know. Did I nail the intro? I did nail the intro. All right. Sweet. Thanks. Michael Watson, shout out. You're not alone, Dom. You've got the chat. That's it. I got the chat. You guys are my co-hosts when I fly solo. Devin Dowling, AO. Devin Dowling joined One of a Kind with RVD the other night when we had Vince Russo and Violent J on. My goodness. When I say it's an all-time episode, it's an all-time episode. Go to rvdtv.com after you're done watching this, of course, and like, share, subscribe. That's our channel. And check out that full episode. There's already a clip up of Vince Russo talking about how he would have booked the John Cena final match. And let me say, Russo's idea was amazing. It would have been the best way to book John Cena's ending. No doubt about it. Especially if you wanted him to win. Go out on a win. You couldn't book a better ending than what Russo pitched. I thought it was great. And yes, and that's, Russo's such a polarizing individual. Obviously, he gets a lot of buzz and everything. And, but he knew that's a great call. And, let me talk about Russo just for a second. Like, there is that kind of pushback. And obviously he's deliberate in his opinions. He really goes after, WWE, and is very critical of WWE and critical of all wrestling right now. And, he also has some really wild takes some once in a while. But at the same time, too, he's somebody that is respected in the business amongst some people. Like, you look at some of the people that he's worked with over the years and things like that, and maybe like he's polarized himself from some aspects of the business, but like somebody like a Kevin Nash really respects Russo. There's a lot of different names that you can throw out there and that appreciate Russo because they helped their career out. It's something that he did up and down the card was give everybody a story. And you will see that too if you check out JCW Lunacy. It's definitely a different flavor of ice cream when it comes to what you're watching in pro wrestling. And but it's kind of fun. I had a good time watching it. There's some nostalgia acts, which there's more to come, which I was filled in on. And then you mix it with some of these unexpected wild characters, and I'm intrigued to see where this goes. It airs I know I'm like shamelessly plugging it all, but all Jake's making some comments in here too. But but it's every Thursday on the Psychopathic Records YouTube channel, which is the ICP channel. Check it out. The commentary is hilarious. Fun fact, Joe Dombrowski, who's on that commentary team of JCW, I'm the color commentator. He's the play-by-play guy for IWC. So like me and him work together. So he is the lead play-by-play man on there. So check it out. Give it all. Support some wrestling stuff like that. It is. You know what? It's different from like NWA Power. Very different. But it's kind of that other option that you have right now that you can kind of go with this. Alt Jake says he's very anti-Russo. Everybody, sure, that's people have their opinions and everything. It's a fair business. The thing I kind of like have gotten to, and this is a Conrad Thompson thing too. So let me say this then. Conrad, I always keep in mind something, especially in wrestling, is like you'll judge by the person of how you interact with them. And, that's kind of, because you'll get a whole bunch of opinions online. You'll get other people's perspectives, other people's stories. And then you can also facilitate your own opinion by what you see and how these people handle themselves. So if you take that all into mind, and then if you interact with this person and you have a positive, if they're like nice to you and they're like a good interaction that I think is, I don't want to say like beneficial, but I say more so in the realm of, is this it do you get good vibes from them and stuff like that, then I do think you assess your judgment based off how you interact, how that person's treated you. And then like ultimately then too, you can see how they treat others and everything too at the same time. And then make your opinion based on that. So let's take a look here at some of the comments, because I'm sure there is some on here. That's like the best summation of John. Okay, here we go. Wrestling Old Head. People were always complaining about three things: Cena not turning heel, Cena always winning, Cena always burying young talent. He does all three, and people still complain. What a great perspective, Wrestling Old Head. That is true. That is very true, for sure. Oh, does he? Do you mean D'Amico or Amico, Zach Amico? The color guy gets mad heat online, especially for the Marky D fan base. I don't know who Marky D is in the Marky D fan. I don't know who that is, but like he does. It's funny because they swear big time on JCW, like not for kids. Let's just say that. And so he'll throw out some zingers. He's a comedian, I believe, Amico, because I think he went to Skankfest. I saw pictures of him at Skankfest with friend of the show. I know friend of the show, Scott Chaplin, was at Skankfest. They weren't, in a picture together, but they were on I just saw Miko on the what's the big thing with the Dave Smith. They do the roast kind of thing almost. Is it the Kill Tony thing? Is that what it is? Was he on Kill Tony? But either way, like he throws some funny zingers out there during commentary. So like I do appreciate. And it's like I said, it's a very different flavor of ice cream. Bro, there are clowns and they drink Fago. We have a case of Fago on a pole, bro. Listen, you want to talk about on a pole match? They had an on a pole match this past week on JCW. It was Kerry Morton, okay? And Kerry Morton is amazing in JCW. Oh my God. So Kerry Morton versus James Storm for a coal miner's glove on a pole match. It's fun stuff. I'm telling you, check it out. And like that's what they say. That's what Vince and both Violent J said on RVD show was give it 2 episodes. If you don't like it, then just move on. But like just give it 2 episodes and see how you feel about it. So Devin says, I don't want to spoil it, so I won't leave it up. So check it out, guys. Check it out. All right. There's my shameless plugs. RVDTV.com, JCW Lunacy. Check out that interview, blah, 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 all that stuff. Let's talk a little bit of something that I'm sure we are all excited about. All excited. 3 hours? Are you excited for 3 hours? I am indeed. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. All right, we did it three times for 3 hours. 3 hours tonight, everyone. Are you ready for more wrestling? Look, I had zero clue that this was going on in AEW. I had zero clue that they had 3 hours and it was AEW Holiday Bash. Completely did hit me out of the middle of nowhere. Let me say that Holiday Bash will always be in my mind as a pro wrestling uh, person in the pro wrestling world from a working standpoint, because it provided a very pivotal moment for me. um, and in not a good way. And it has nothing to do with AEW in itself, but AEW Holiday Bash. Holiday Bash, that term shifted my mindset on something very big. That's all I'm going to say, because that's kind of it. Maybe you can piece some of it together if you look at my where I've worked in the past, but it completely pivoted. I don't think anybody's going to be able to put that together, but let's just say Holiday Bash, that term, really changed my thought process on certain things. And nothing to do with AEW. Let me just add that again. I think a hard pass on the third hour is for that's what everybody feels. Old Jake, it's just like, oh, this is the collision aspect of it all. Well, it's not that important, and that's a shame. That's a shame, because it just shows how much the momentum has kind of slowed down with AEW. But you know what? Let's pull up the card here. And my goodness, is it a card indeed? There's a lot on tap for tonight for All Elite Wrestling. Man, they did like the huge graphic. Maybe I can just put the graphic up. Hold on. If you guys bear with me here, I will do the due diligence like I probably should have before the show. To put the graphic up so everybody can enjoy this 3-hour card that we have upcoming. All right. Making the process here. Present or invite an image file. Boom. Look at this. Let's try this out here and see how this visual appears. Adding to the stage. Boom. Look at this. All right. Can we do another? Let's see if I can make this present more different presentable. Boom. That doesn't do anything. All right. We'll just go with what we had, which was this. And then add to the stage. Oh my God. What's going on? All right. Here we go. Look, let's take a look here. We'll start with the contract signing. Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland, and Hangman Page. They're getting ready to put the name on the dotted lines, the names on the dotted lines. And man, it just makes you think that at World's End is 10 days away. That's it. That's it. And so now we're doing a contract signing. This match is coming into fruition. It is. This is like the forgotten pay-per-view for AEW. This is like, I would just remove this completely from your Rolodex. Like, just get it out, because you're in such a chaotic time for people. Like, it's Christmas, 2 days after Christmas. Like, you might rope in some. It would be one thing if you are like a huge company, but this is like it's just not. It's not a fit for you. This pay-per-view, it just isn't. It just seems like, oh my God, we got to do something for at World's End. Let's piece this and this together. And this is kind of what that feels like. We've seen Hangman and Swerve. Obviously, they have a historic rivalry in AEW. And then, yes, we've seen Joe go up against Hangman several times on an occasion. So this three-way just seems like it's thrown together. I don't know what they're necessarily going to do with it all. But here, we'll answer this important question real quick, though. Devin Dowling does ask, random question, off topic, but crunchy or smooth peanut butter? I'm a smooth peanut butter guy. I do use crunchy when I make smoothies, though, because I like the texture. How's that sound? We also have the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. So does this mean we're getting a return of MJF tonight? Because he's been the only one to win this thing, right? Am I wrong on that? If they do make it, I hope there is some sort of surprise in it, because like, you want to make it feel special. And if that surprises MJF returning and then winning again, I'm fine with that. But why don't you make it a return of someone? Or, I don't know, somebody notable shows up? AEW just needs a kick in the behind here, like to get some things going. Because again, this Continental Classic, I like it's fun. Like they've had some memorable matches, but you're just giving them away. And I don't think it's necessarily doing a whole lot to resonate in the world of wrestling either at the same time. Again, though, kind of a different flavor for people. Like you're getting this kind of stuff where you won't get this on WWE and stuff like that, but it just feels ultimately lesser than, because what is the point of this Continental Classic tournament in the grand scheme of it all? We still don't know what the stakes are. You're the Continental Champion. Does that also make you the unified champion, or you just it's they have not explained that whatsoever. Whatsoever. Unless I'm missing something and they said something on Collision. We'll get to those Continental Classic matches in here in a second. We have an 8 women's tag. Sorry, I'm like leaning in here. It's Mercedes Moné, Athena, Billy Starks, and Megan Bayne. They're going up against the Babes of Wrath and Mina Shirakawa and Toni Storm. I actually like this match. This is a fun match. You could have, honestly, you probably could have, honestly, if you did this and AEW promoted in the right fashion, you could have made this a main event for your Dynamite show for the Holiday Bash. Like, you got Toni Storm, you got Mercedes, bam, great names right there. Then you got Athena, who's an established name, and you want to establish even further, as you should. Young rising talent and Billy Starks, Monster Heel and Megan Bayne, and then the Babes of Wrath, your new tag team champions. So I would have really positioned them in the right manner to make that feel like a real big deal. So here we go. We got an AEW World Tag Team Championship. I don't know if this delineates what's on Collision and what isn't. I don't think it does whatsoever. So who knows what this is all on. So we got FTR. They're the tag champs, and they're going up against the Bang Bang Gang, which is Juice Robinson and Austin Gunn. Look, Austin Gunn, I did catch some of this. He cut a great promo the other day, against FTR. Really funny stuff. He's great. Austin Gunn, somebody you got to watch out for. I would give him a singles push. After he loses, which I'm sure they're going to lose tonight, give Austin Gunn a singles push. Have him go, because he's got that personality that you want. Man, yes, he's somebody I would put my chips behind big time. And I'm a huge fan of Billy Gunn. Like, I was a massive mark for the one Billy Gunn way back in the day, and that is a shoot. I loved the one Billy Gunn. Like, the music, look at all I've got. I loved the music. I loved everything about the one Billy Gunn. And then I almost thought after the fact, this was years after, I was like, man, they should have gave Billy Gunn like almost like a superstar Billy Graham vibe, or like an ambiguous kind of Gold Dust almost vibe to him, where like he was androgynous is what I'm looking for, not ambiguous. Where like, you could have really presented him in like this Gorgeous George / superstar Billy Graham kind of fashion. And like, what a great heel like gimmick that would have been back then. Like, it would have been a lot of fun. I love Billy Gunn, man. Billy Gunn's the best. Everybody's talking about, oh my God, Razor just clawed my foot. Oh, well, yeah. Jeff Hanger says that was Billy and Chuck. Kind of. But like, I'm talking about like, going all out with how he dressed or, everything like that. You could have made him what a heel he would have been in contrast to like The Rock and even John Cena later on. Like, man, if you fantasy book in your head, that superstar Billy Gunn would have been pretty fantastic. Let's see here, man. People are talking about stuff about all these. I gotta go back and look at this chat about what people are talking about. All right, let's talk for these Continental Classic matches. We got Mascara Dorada taking on Orange Cassidy. That should be a fun one. I would have that open the show, actually. I think that would be a fun match to have open the show. Orange Cassidy and Mascara Dorada. And then we have Kyle Fletcher. He's taking on Pac. So 2 heels going at it. Again, yeah, I don't know. Like, who do you put in that to win that match? That's the thing. I'm assuming that Fletcher gets the comeback victory after losing to Mike Bailey, but like Pac is somebody I think you should really kind of utilize too. He's been getting some bad breaks, and that's like from injury standpoint and visa standpoints or whatever. But like you're introducing him back, and he's just kind of like you don't want him to be Death Rider fodder. You want to be a much above that. So like this is kind of a situation that you run into when you do these continental round robin tournaments. Sure you have some fun stuff going on, but where do you go from this? I hope there's some storyline developments going into play, more with Death Rider stuff and everything, where it's just like, are these guys breaking up finally? Can we get something going here? Like, please make something happen. Please, for the love of God. Speaking of, we have John Moxley going up against Roderick Strong. I would just have John Moxley continue to lose. And just make something out of this. He cut that babyface promo last week about like, oh, I'm behind on the game. I must win, all that kind of thing. So maybe this is perpetuates him to win finally. But what's the story going on here? It's just like, where are we at? Where are we at with all this? Please make that the Christmas present to all of us, is ending this Death Riders BS. Oh, Devin Dowling says it might be a draw. Interesting. Yeah. Billy's awesome, not as a single. No. Oh, man. Billy was awesome as a single. I remember absolutely loving that. What were they called? The figures that they made back then. They were like the Titantron figures, I believe, was what they were labeled. I remember being so pumped to find the one Billy Gunn figures. I bought both figures they made of him as the one Billy Gunn. He had like pink trunks on, and then he had like blue trunks on. I got both versions because I loved the one Billy Gunn, baby. He was great. All right. Then the main event, we have the Elite. That's the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. They're going up against Okada, Takeshita, and Hechicero. So the Don Callis family. Probably going to get some big developments here when it comes to Takeshita and Okada here. So that should be, again, I think this will be a fun match. Here's the thing that I don't think I got to say last week when we previewed and reviewed Dynamite was AEW really has to put more of a focus on the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. Like that whether, Robert likes them or not, or whether, some of your fan base, the Cornette fan base and stuff like that. And I don't mean to label it in that manner, but like if a certain demographic if you will, does not like them, it should not matter. You make them your primary, one of your primary acts. They just feel like underutilized. Like, man, maybe that's by their own volition. Like, but look, there's some of your top stars, and you have to really position them in that right manner, because it's just sure, and the graphics an indicator, like they're at the top of the graphic, so yeah, they are, but it's just like they just seem like an afterthought. It's just like, it's you want that to feel like a major storyline, because these were your major stars when your company first launched, and now they're just part of the show, just like everybody is. Yeah, Devin puts it right here. They are the E in AEW. You know what? That's kind of funny, because if you remove the E, it's just all wrestling, and that's what AEW is really turned into, for better or for worse. So like, you just gotta embrace and make them be in main event storylines. Wrestling Old says, I'm with Dom, sadly. LOL. I liked Billy Gunn. He sells good and is a natural douchebag. He just got saddled with goofy gimmicks, so he never got the credibility, but he's a funny guy, so I can see why. Yeah, I just think there had been so much you could have done with Billy Gunn back in the day. Like big time, big time. Um, Look at this. See, Sebastian says it too here. Let's see. And yeah, speaking of Eddie Kingston, there's no sign of Eddie Kingston. I understand he just lost, but it's just like flavor of the week. Then he loses, or then she loses, whoever it may be. And now we move on. But Sebastian says, I didn't even bother watching last week because I didn't care about Joe and Kingston. That's a shame because, like, Kingston is great and Joe is great. Why not cultivate some of this stuff? I understand that Eddie cut some great promos on Collision, but again, it's Collision. It's Collision. It just shows the lack of where your priorities should be in AEW. And I understand that Tony Khan is the main booker, and this is the kind of wrestling he likes. So that's what's going to happen on there. We saw that with Vince McMahon. You saw the kind of wrestling he liked, and it was not for everybody. And Tony Khan is not, sadly, not booking for a wider audience. Again, WWE, I think, continues to make some big missteps. When I think I talked about this last night, and Robert and I talked about it yesterday on the show because I did a live thing on Studio One Sports. By the way, go to Studio One Sports, type that in on your YouTube, and subscribe to that channel. That's my new channel. But I did a live 20-minute thing where I talked about Gunther's promo and how it just was not a good follow up for what happened on at Saturday Night's Main Event for Cena retiring. It just did not. So it's just like WWE does some good creative things, I think. From a grand scheme of it all, like I think WWE is a better product, more of a product for me and for a wider audience, I think, of what I like about pro wrestling than what AEW is currently presenting. But that being said, they have some missteps and they make some major missteps. So why, if you're AEW, you got to factor in like, let's make things different. This is just like constant, same stuff, great matches, talented wrestlers, I think overall good presentation too. Like I don't mind AEW's presentation, but like pivot, do some different things. Like this is AEW's opportunity to kind of like, let's really hone in on stuff and let's do something that is different. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that, but that's kind of my thoughts on all that stuff. Man, well, big debate on Billy Gunn here. Just big debate. All Jake says he can't cut a promo. That's why he did the call in response at the end of the Outlaws bit. I think there's a lane where Billy, I think you could have certainly gave Billy another mouthpiece. Like, him and Road Dogg was the promo guy for sure, undoubtedly, right? And him being a part of DX was cool too. I don't think DX, the Mr. Ass gimmick and, badass Billy Gunn, I thought that was an awesome gimmick, but like when you move on and you want to give somebody a singles push and stuff like that, like I would have tried to find somebody that really could have been like, what if you paired him with like, I'm just throwing this name out here, like a Trish Stratus Trish was not an Ultimate Promo too at the time, I guess, but like, I'm just trying to think of some other names that you could really help maybe elevate him and that person. I keep thinking of a valet that you could maybe have used, or like a diva at the time, like a Stacy Keibler. That was Stacy a good promo though? I don't know. And I know, Mickey James wasn't around. She would have been perfect at the time, but she just was not in the mix at that point in time. But trying to think of who was a good women's promo back then in the day. And it was hard to kind of get a gauge for because there wasn't like the women didn't have that kind of opportunity to get behind the microphone as much, back then. Trish was around though for the one Billy Gunn. Ivory, I did think about Ivory. She wouldn't be bad, and she was good promo, like when she had the opportunities to talk. trying to think who else. Geez, if anybody has a good name from a women's talent, and hey, I'll throw this pitch out here too. It doesn't have to be anybody. If it was somebody in WCW, like at the time that you could have moved over and gave, like that would have been pretty nice. Luna Vachon, somebody says. Uh, Wrestling a Whole Head suggested that one. Your point still stands that Billy can't cut a promo. Maybe, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. I think there could have been some more work with it. I think there, to an extent, there might have been something where it's just like, hey, you have The Rock, you have Austin, you have all these guys that can talk. I'm sure there wasn't a lot of like development when it comes to people on their mic work. It was a sink or swim kind of every man for themselves, maybe environment that goes on there. Linda, I don't know about Linda. Linda, ooh, you want to talk about who can't cut a promo? Linda McMahon. Who? Yeah, she was not great. Stephanie. What about Stephanie? Stephanie and Billy Gunn. Hey, see, like Wrestling Holded just said that too. Billy with Stephanie McMahon. That would have been great. Yeah, they would have been really awesome. Could you imagine if you turned Triple H baby face and then you have this this flamboyant superstar Billy Gunn going. But I can't believe I'm fantasy booking. I've seriously thought about this angle for a long time. Like what they could have done with Billy Gunn in WWE. And now we're booking it right on the show right now. But yeah, that would have been great stuff. I would have been A for that, all for that. All for that. That's exactly it. He could have. Wrestling Old Ed said Billy would have had to turn into a rack man. Yes. A Melons man. Mr. Melons, Billy Gunn. Mr. Melons. Oh man. That sounds like a side character that they could have, like, if I'm trying to think of somebody. If Harvey Whippleman was around, he would have been called Mr. Melons and followed them, Steph and Billy around. Oh my gosh, booking this in the Attitude Era would have been something. Jeez. Let's check the dirt sheets real quick before I close this out. We'll go to SEScoops.com, which we're live on their X account. Check out SEScoops.com. I'll give them a plug. They updated their website. It looks really nice. See if there's anything intriguing here that I want to talk about. Let's see. Is this a plug for my show or not? Reading about what RVD had to say. I know Rob was just on TMZ, so I'm seeing if that was oh no, this is probably dang it. Oh, Rob said, what did he said? Okay, so this is what Rob had to say about the John Cena finish. Rob kind of talked about this too on the show that we did too, but Rob said he expected it, I guess. I was just kind of bummed it was over and so final at that moment. There's no going back. They rang the bell. The match is over. It's just like, it's coming, but it didn't make that moment any more enjoyable or whatever. I just was kind of disappointed because I would have liked it to go another 20 minutes. I was having fun. Otherwise, I kind of expected it to happen. So yeah, Rob, having that wrestling mind, kind of knows how all that thing works and like doing the favor for somebody else and everything. But listen, that final 10 or 15 minutes, however long that sleeper hold session was fascinating, captivating pro wrestling. I just think John Cena should have broke out of it and then got the win. I just don't think the return on investment of having Cena lose is going to be a good return on investment. I just don't. And I think the Gunther promo and what they did after the fact was an early indication of that. And like Sebastian says, I liked that Cena tapped. An argument can absolutely be made, in that realm. I just think it should have been done differently. It wasn't like, if you're the live crowd there, you don't really get a good look at it. And then on top of it too, though, I don't know. The artistic standpoint, I completely get. And I think from like John Cena as a wrestling artist, if you will, and doing what I completely appreciate the creativeness of that and maybe what the symbolism and the metaphorical figurative standpoint of all would have been great, is great, but in the grand scheme of it being good business, I don't necessarily think it was the right move to make. So from the artist standpoint, I think it's super cool because if you didn't see, and I talked about this yesterday too on my other show, but Cena shared that on Instagram, that picture, that infamous picture of Obi-Wan Kenobi smiling right before Darth Vader ends him. And that was cool. Like that makes sense, right? If you're thinking from the John Cena aspect of things, like I'm gone, now it's your turn. Whose turn is it though? Whose turn is it? Is he talking to the fans? Is he referring to somebody else? That's the thing. Obi-Wan was looking at Luke Skywalker when that happened. John Cena wasn't looking at anybody in particular because there's no big baby face in that looking at Darth Vader ending him. You know what I mean? So that's what's missing from this element all. That's what's missing for this payoff. John Cena's gone. Who's next? Who's the big person coming through? And it needs to be a fresh new face. And you can make a case for like a Jacob Fatu, or you can make a case for a Braun Breaker to turn babyface, and it'd be him to carry the company in a babyface manner in a new way. But I don't think this really pays off. Sebastian says he likes the mystery. Well, I can understand liking the mystery of it all, but like there's nobody to be excited for. It would be one thing to enjoy the mystery if you had people on the rise. Like if you thought about like, and I know I'm going back to a very, very hot time in pro wrestling. And so like there was a lot of name stars, but you thought about all the possibilities maybe for like, excuse me, The Rock when he was with the Nation of Domination. You had DX, you had Ken Shamrock, you had let me try to think of some other names too at that time that were kind of on the rise at certain points. I think like people, and this is kind of weird, but like I remember always being optimistic for a lot of names that were really intriguing and fun. Like even like somebody like and I know he's a polarizing name nowadays, big time, but Val Venus, like or like The Godfather. What's next for some of these guys that are on the lower or mid card area? Are they going to be on the rise too at some point? Like there's that like who's going to be the next to step up and get into that position? And so I guess a great name too at that, actually a perfect name, geez, would be RVD. Like, imagine how excited everybody was when RVD showed up with the WCW ECW invasion, and he was as a heel, but people still loved RVD. Like, so there was optimism and there was potential for names to show up and make their own kind of impact. John Cena's smiling, tapping out, looking at no one in particular, though, and that's where he left us, and that's the sad of it all. That's the sadness of it all, and the bummer of it all, because John Cena's gone. Like, Randy Orton's, obviously in his twilight of a career, and AJ Styles, obviously. CM Punk is mid 40s. So he's on the tail end of everything, wrapping up at some point or another. Cody Rhodes is currently the present, but that's not lasting. And his title run right now is not packing a punch as much as it should be. So I think that is where I'm at with all that stuff. So I guess that'll do it for me today. Let's take a look at some of your chats here. What people are saying. I don't want to. Let's see. Didn't Orton Hogan put over Lesnar. Hogan tapped out to Angle. So I do think, yeah, no, maybe he didn't put over Orton, but I think kind of that story was Orton was the legend killer, and maybe he didn't beat Hogan. I wasn't watching wrestling at that time. I was thick in the action of college, so like it wasn't on my radar as much. I mean, I took some exceptions for like one night stand and stuff like that, but ultimately I kept light tabs on wrestling at the time, so I don't know all the ins and outs of like from basically '03 to 2008. I was kind of out of wrestling for that amount of time. Um, I know, and like Sebastian here is talking about, like you're supposed to put somebody over, especially if you're old. You're supposed to make the future stars, not just by bearing the hot heels. I just think Cena winning, you would have put over other people. He still would have put over. Think about Dom Mysterio. Robert has said this several times on this show. If John Cena beat Gunther, the last person to beat John Cena would have been Dom Mysterio. And imagine the chip on his shoulder that Dom would have moving forward for the rest of his career. I was the last person to defeat John Cena. And just by that, you put heat on a big on a name that's on the rise. Is Dom. No, I Dom has that attitude where what's likable about him is like this like laissez-faire kind of attitude. So like I don't know if he would fit that John Cena position moving forward as the face of the company, but man, he's a big factor of it all too. So I'm just thinking in the moment here. Gunther did not Gunther got great heat, I think, for what he did, but I just don't think it's gonna last. And I don't think it's think I said this yesterday. I think like a more memorable promo. There was a more memorable promo on that episode of Raw than that Gunther promo, and that was CM Punk with Braun Breaker. So it's just like who is going to step up here? Who's going to step up here? Is it? So Kami also adds that it was obvious he was going to tap. I don't know. I don't think it was. Like I think they made it, and like I think this adds to the effectiveness of the match and even the outcome. That like I was kind of pretty confident. I was like, Cena's gonna get out of it. Like this has been a fascinating 10 minutes of him being in this sleeper hold, and what quality thing, what a pop and reaction he's gonna get when he powers up Gunther, hits him with the FU or the attitude adjustment, and we get the 1, 2, 3. So I don't think it was obvious. It just was really flat. The air was let out of the room. So, okay, so Jeff Hanger provides clarity. Hogan beat Randy at SummerSlam that year. So SummerSlam of 2006. Um, yeah, that's what I remembered too. I remember seeing the RKO onto the trunk of the car. I remember that for sure. So, that should do it, I think. Let's see. Gunther about to retire. Oh, Gunther about to retire, everybody. Sorry, I'm just looking at comments. All right. I went 45 minutes. That's pretty good, right? Jeez. Maybe it's too much. Somebody was trashing me on my other show that I did. I did the live reaction or the live show late yesterday talking about the Gunther promo. And some guy, Hong Kong Huey, like Hong Kong Fooey, like the cartoon. I was like reading in time. I didn't like read ahead of the comments, but like he was just trashing me. He's like, nobody wants to tune into this. I'm like, thanks. Yeah. Well, I was like, he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you think I'm doing? I'm doing a show. If you guys want to see that, go to Studio One Sports on YouTube. Check it out and support that channel. Like it and subscribe to it and help it out. Help it out because I'm trying to build some stuff with that. We're going to have some fun live content on there for sure, too. Not just involving me, but other people as well. And there'll be interviews. There's an interview with Vince Russo actually up on there and not the RVD one. I interviewed Vince Russo one-on-one before we went with RVD. So check it out. And yes, I got some more stuff planned. But this is always fun. And you can catch me and Robert every Monday through Friday here on the WD Creative _ish X account, the at Dominic D'Angelo X account, the at SE Scoops X account, at the podcast Heat X account. Also, you can catch us on the Oh You Didn't Know YouTube channel, the Podcast Heat Wrestling YouTube channel, Ad Free Shows YouTube, and on the Rumor and Innuendo YouTube channel. So support us all in that form or fashion. Check out that Violent J and Vince Russo chat RVD and I had at rvdtv.com and help support that channel as well. Thank you all for tuning in the chat. You guys are indeed my co-hosts when I fly solo. I am a chaotic mess, I understand, but I appreciate everybody that joins in and chimes in here. and can't thank you enough. So you guys make it fun, and that's why I do this day in and day out. All right. Best of luck in your future endeavors. And yes, like Michael Keaton says, I am Batman. Shh.